welcome back to Motivation and Momentum. We are on episode 2, and I am so looking forward to this conversation. We have with us the Adam Henkins, who is the Director of School Safety and Athletics. He has such an amazing role. He has some big jobs that he fills, and he does it very well. So we are here to talk to the Adam Henkins. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Really excited to talk to you today. You have such an important role in our county, and you do it so well. So let's dig in, and let's just talk a little bit about your background and kind of your journey into this role.
So I actually have taken the long route into the education
Okay.
role. So I have my initial degrees in business administration.
Okay.
And so I thought that's what I wanted to do in the world. My college basketball coach told me that I was suited for education and needed to be an educator, and I didn't listen to him initially. But I went back and got my teaching certification, got a couple master's degrees involved in education, educational leadership. And so I probably have had just about every role in Mon County Schools that you can think of. I've taught at every programmatic level from elementary, middle, and high. I've taught social studies, I've taught physical education, I've taught science.
Wow.
And so I've just been involved a lot in the school system in general. Probably the jobs that led to what I'm doing now, though, I was working in alternative education. I was doing what we called Mon Choice for middle school alternative education a while, and then it led into the attendance position. So I got involved in attendance, but just my love for students that were at risk kind of led into the job of safe schools, or student supports is what it really was, and it's kind of evolved since then. But when I first started, it was student supports, and I was working with students with behavior issues, and how we could help correct students and how we could help support students more than anything to be successful in what they do. And so it's kind of evolved into the Safe Schools Director now, and then athletics was a part that I have a passion for in general.
Sure.
I think I've coached just about every sport in Mon County as well, from youth leagues to middle school and high school. And so they're just, the job is, I love, it's suited perfectly for me. It's my interest in everything I do. And so I'm very passionate and thankful for the opportunities that I have to work with not only the staff in Mon County Schools, but students in Mon County Schools.
It sounds like every role that you had just kind of led to where you are now.
Absolutely.
I love to see that.
Just kind of guided me. The path was kind of set.
It was.
I was fortunate enough that someone gave me an opportunity, and it just kind of evolved from there. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what does the day-to-day operations look like for you?
Day-to-day operations are
I know
crazy.
you're a busy guy.
And there's nothing that's the same. It varies on a daily basis. I do try to start my day here in the office. I try to check voicemails, emails on a daily basis, but there's nothing that's consistent or repetitious.
Sure.
The phone starts ringing pretty early. We talk. I'm on a phone on a daily basis with administrators, other support staff throughout the building. But just every day brings on a new task, and that's one of the things I like about the job is I'm not doing the same stuff every day, and so I don't know that I would be a good person to have that same. I wouldn't be a good accountant.
Repetition is not your friend.
no, ma'am. So
Sure.
yeah, so that makes it nice.
Awesome. Does the job ever end?
The job never ends.
Yeah.
Just Wednesday night, I was at my daughter's college basketball game, and I was on the phone with a school with a serious situation we were dealing with. So no, the job never ends. I try to put the phone down at times, but it's always close by. So, but that's part of the gig, and that's what we do. That's what we all do, right? Our jobs never end. It's not we don't work 8 to 4 jobs.
Not with kids,
not
right?
with kids, right? Yeah. It's a continuous job, and so that's another. Some days I love it, some days I don't.
Sure.
More than not, I do.
So what are the biggest challenges that schools are facing today, and how do we as a district, how does Monongalia County Schools address those big challenges?
Sure. Three of the biggest challenges we're facing right now as a school system that are harmful to is social media. And I know social media can be used for good things. Our students find ways to use them for inappropriate things. So social media is one of our big hurdles that makes it difficult for us in many ways. Our county has recently attacked that by doing away with phones in the schools during school time, with the Yonder packs to help eliminate that and to help let kids just focus on the academic progress they can make.
What are you seeing with that? What's the success that you're seeing?
So There are kids that use it and it's helping. What it has done, whether they participate in the yonder bags or not,
Sure.
it has still eliminated that phone. We don't see the phone, so it still serves the purpose that it serves.
Yeah.
Some kids, it depends on who you talk to, says it makes no sense. Other kids are, I think, are just thankful that they don't get stuck on that phone at all time. Like you and I'm addicted to my phone because
Same.
I'm on my phone all day long, every day, usually for work purposes. But even when I catch myself at home, I'm scrolling social media. So it's addictive. It's harmful to kids at a young age.
Sure.
I would like to see some type of statewide policy, nationwide policy that students can't have a smartphone until they're the age of 18, maybe graduate high school. We'll see where that goes. But I do see the harmful effects that it brings to kids at a young age. And so we'll continue to work through that process. If we're talking about additional things, though, vapes are a big thing in our school system that students use a lot. We catch students a lot, and depending on the type of, depending on what's in it, it causes different policies to kick in. But so we're very mindful of those things. We've added vape detectors in our schools over the past 4 to 5 years that can pick up on those students that are using vapes, specifically in a bathroom location area. And it sends direct text messages to our administrators so they can go and check those things out. So just another way of prevention to help students in those type of situations. So those are the top two probably.
Those are some pretty big challenges.
Yeah, those are some challenges.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably the third one, if we would go into more, is school violence, threats on school violence. We don't necessarily see a lot of physical violence, but everybody seems to have a verbal threat right now, and so that's what we deal with most, and we try to get to the bottom of that. But we take every threat very serious as if it's going to happen, and so those are tough because everybody threatens everybody a lot.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, those are some pretty big challenges that you have to work through. One of the other things that I wanted to really talk to you about was, emergency situations. I know that's something we prepare for, and we can never prepare for every instance.
Sure.
But what is the county stance on dealing with an emergency? How can parents be assured that we know what we're doing and we've got, as much as we can under control?
Right. So we know what's going on in America at this point, and the violence that are associated with schools many times. So we have many resources out there to help us support that. We are looking through, we're always training, so you can never train enough. We, by state code, we're required to do intruder drill training once a year. We kind of amp that up and do it twice a year because we want our teachers, our administrators, our staff to have some type of plan in place. And I always tell them many times, I don't know what your plan is because I'm not in your scenario. Each scenario is a little different. But what is your plan of this? And you've got to work with your students if they're old enough. I always, and you get to this, I always concerned about my pre-K teachers. It's tough to have 25 little ones who are in another world doing their own thing, and I'm trying to keep them quiet. I'm trying to escort them out of a building and quiet, and so a lot of admiration for the elementary, pre-K, first grade, kindergarten teachers that have 25 kids that they're responsible for in an intruder type situation. So we continue to train that as much as we can possibly do. We do annual training online with our ALICE training. We do the physical training in the buildings. Just this summer we did a countywide search and rescue type thing with our local law enforcement officers at University High, so they could actually have a physical building scenario, and they allowed them to practice responding to those type of situations, and how they could go in and out of buildings, and how they would communicate with Mecca 911 and those type of things. So we're starting to amp those type of things up, because it really is, if something like that would happen, would be a community effort, and so that's important for us. So we do that. Communication is key, as you know.
Absolutely.
Communicating to our parents to keep them updated to the best of our ability. The fine line there is we don't always tell them everything they want to hear, because it's a need to know. I mean, we can't share too much, but we share with them what we can to keep them updated. But I think one of the most important things when it comes to intruder situations or school safety is listening. Listening to our staff members, listening to our community members, listening to our kids, of what's going on inside our schools, so we can now take it to the next level or help resolve the complaints or the issues or what the concerns that they may have. So I think many times just listening to the people out there can help us to make schools safer.
And I love that, and you do such a great job of that, sitting on safety, meetings with you, and you really take that role of listening and how can we apply what you just heard.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciate that about you and about the county.
Sure.
Being an educator here, that's the thing you lose the most sleep over at night.
Absolutely.
What would I do in this situation?
Yeah.
But we have practiced and we have talked, and
Yeah.
and I really think that that's one thing that we do really, really well here. So thank you. Well, let's switch roles. Let's switch gears, I guess, and
Yeah.
let's talk about athletics. So did you play sports in high school?
So I did.
Okay.
I was a 3-sport star, if you want to call it
Look
a
at that.
star, at a small school in Clay Battelle in
Oh,
western end of the
great.
county.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would play football, basketball, and baseball.
Okay.
Always a passion of mine. I was fortunate enough to play collegiately at the next
Wow,
level.
that's
play
great.
basketball. So, and I've had the opportunity to coach at the collegiate level. I've had an opportunity to coach at the middle school, high school level. Sports are my passion.
Love it.
If the truth be known, that's why my wife convinced me to go back into education. That's
Okay.
why my college coach convinced me.
It's all coming together
they
now.
knew I
yeah.
wanted to be involved in coaching.
Sure.
And so I've had that opportunity. Athletics, when you think about high school, you think about middle school, it's academics, right? That's why we're in education, for academics. But athletics are an important part of students, and I don't even want to say athletics, but extracurriculars, right? The well-rounded student isn't just the academic student. They're involved in other things and involved in extracurriculars, and I think athletics really help build students when done right, right? Absolutely, when done right. We help build character, we help build work ethic, you help build team, and so there's a lot that comes out of athletics and extracurriculars, and that's why we always encourage kids, get involved in something. It doesn't have to be the basketball team, it doesn't have to be the baseball team, it could be the band, right? It could be the choir, it could be orchestra. You look at Mon County Schools, and we have so many things you can do. They just recently started the bowling club.
I saw that.
And had their first
Amazing.
meet last night, or match.
How did it go?
It was phenomenal. I
Great.
received pictures from our athletic directors
Okay.
last night.
I love it.
And so the bowling alley was packed, but there's 15 to 20 kids on each team that are involved somehow, some way. Now we call it a community or a club sport right now, but it's evolving already, and so we hope that continues to grow. But we offer something for everybody,
We do.
even if it's an after-school club involving gaming, which is a huge thing right now that can take off to the next level, and so and get involved in something. So that's important to me, that kids are involved in something.
I love that. I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about just what it does for the community,
Yeah.
right? We have our Clay Battelle, we have Morgantown High, we have University High. Those are very diverse places, but athletics brings us together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what is that like from the small school aspect to the large school aspect?
So they both have their effect, or the positive effects. Again, I came from a small school environment,
Same.
and it's a community thing, and it's not just a school thing; it's your community. And so I remember being at Clay Battelle High School and on a Friday night football, and the whole community was at the football field, and they took so much pride. That happens obviously at the big schools as well. But there's nothing like that small town feel of a community. Speaking though from the big schools, I was fortunate enough to have my daughter graduated from Morgantown High School 2 years ago. I have a freshman at Morgantown High this year. But I can remember my daughter and her classmates, they would go to a friend's house that lived 2 blocks from the school. The parents would have food and stuff, and they hung out until the football game, and 20 to 30 of them would walk to the game, and the student sections were just, it was fun for the kids. It's what high school is about.
Yeah.
It's what they should be enjoying. I go to these high schools, especially when Morgantown High, University High play each other,
Sure.
but I pay attention to the student sections. Our student sections are just so full, and that's awesome. It's what helps build the culture of your school. When kids are involved, it means more to them, and so I just love to see kids having fun, even if they're not on the football field, if they're not on the baseball field, if they're in the stands supporting their friends, and they're proud of who their schools are, and so I think that's important.
That's what it's about, right?
That's what
Those
it's
are the
about.
memories.
That's
Those are the
fun.
memories.
That's
Yeah.
the fun. Absolutely.
So how do you involve the parents and coaches and community members in fostering that safe
Yep.
Environment when we talk about athletics?
And so we have just recently partnered with a professional development group called Positive Coaching Alliance out of Philadelphia. And so one of the things that we are always trying to educate our coaches on how to engage with kids, how to make it fun for kids, but still competitive. And
That's a hard balance.
It's a huge balance.
Yeah.
That is so hard to do because, as I always say, I'm not having fun unless I'm winning. But
Sure.
it doesn't have to be that. I mean,
Right.
but our kids want to win. Our coaches want to win. And how do you toe that line without going over and making it not fun for kids, right? And so we really worked really hard with this professional development to make sure coaches are doing that the right way. And I think that's important. But they are able to take it to the next level. They do student leadership organizations with kids. We just had kids from Clay Battelle, Morgantown High, and University High gather at at Clay Battelle out in the auditorium and had a presentation of student leaderships. And there were probably 30 to 40 kids from Morgantown High and University High and Clay Battelle that all joined together, and it was very nice for that. My son was one of those, so I was able to get direct feedback from him, who he loved the presenter and said it was very important and he liked it and was willing to do it again. The component that we very rarely get is the parent part of it. And so this Positive Coaching Alliance will start bringing in the parent component of it too and start doing some professional development with them. So we're trying to hit it from all three angles, that everyone knows that there is, if done right and done safely, it is fun for everybody. And so, and we all have to really check ourselves, right? As a former coach, I've gone too far maybe, or if I'm a student, maybe I'm not being coachable. If I'm a parent, maybe I'm not being fair. Maybe I'm seeing it from a biased side instead of the big picture. And so if we can all get on that same page and work together, it's going to be better for everyone.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. So what's the best part of your job?
Best part of my job, in all honesty, and I know this is kind of cliche, but the best part of my job are kids. I still enjoy building relationships with kids. One of the good parts of my job is I'm not just sitting in an office here at the Board of Education. Ms. Tallarico just walked by my office today and said, "I've seen you more today than I've seen you all year."
We never see you here.
I know, so I'm always in a school somewhere, multiple schools throughout the day. I enjoy walking down the hallways and saying hi to kids. One, if I know them already, and just to follow up with them. Two, if I don't know them, I like to see how they react. Who's this crazy guy? You know what I mean? I try to be goofy and fun with them. I high five them, whatever. But I truly, truly enjoy kids and building relationships with kids and trying to mold them. One of the jobs, of course, I do the expulsion hearings at Monongalia County Schools. And expulsion becomes such a negative word. And so when I call a parent or I meet with a student, I try to explain to them, this is what it is, but it's really about us putting a support system together for your child and to make it positive for them. And our last thing we ever want to do is expel a student, even though we have to at times. But how can we make your students successful, or how can we put supports around them to make sure they're reaching the goals that they need to reach? And at this point, it's graduation, right? And getting to that next level. But we want it to be positive. Even when in a negative situation, we're trying to be positive with them. So that's what's fun for me, to be honest with you, especially when you see them graduate and they've come through maybe a rough patch in their life, and you still see them graduate and you see what they become, and you still have that relationship with them, and they show up at a sporting event with a kid and they want to introduce their kid to you, right?
I love that.
That's the best part. That's what's fun about education.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I think you answered my next question, but your role really does play into student success on so many levels. What do you think your favorite level of student success? Is it the graduation? Is it the seeing them outside of school, or what is it?
It's seeing them outside of school more than anything. It's always good to see a kid walk across the stage and maybe do that cartwheel when they didn't think they ever would. But it's seeing them outside of school after they graduate, and maybe when they come back from that first summer of college, you know what I mean, to say, hey, I'm doing well and this is where it's at. Former player, player, student, coaching at Fairmont State right now, the girls basketball team at Fairmont State, and she's doing awesome. And
great.
I love to see those type of things. And now she's building relationships with kids and helping them grow. So if you can keep that cycle going, right?
My favorite cycle,
Yeah,
right?
it's
That's the cycle we like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting that kid out of the bad, there's good in every kid, right? Get the kid out of the bad cycle and help them change that cycle. So that's the part I see, I enjoy the most, is just seeing the success after high school.
Awesome. Well, your job, your role is very important. I mean, we all know that. Very important here. What is one takeaway that you want our listeners to hear about your job? What's the one takeaway that they can leave with?
Well, let me say that I guess the one takeaway I want people to realize is that I'm invested, right? I'm invested in Mon County Schools. Many times when there's a school threat out there, I get a text from, is your son going to school today?
I'm sure you do.
Absolutely, my son's going to school today.
Right.
If my son's not going to school, nobody's going to school, right? And so I want people to know that I'm invested in kids, not just my own kids. My wife's a teacher, right?
Yes.
So my kids are in the school system here. I work in the school system. I have best friends that are working in the school system. So I'm invested in school safety. If it's an unsafe situation, nobody's going to school.
That's it.
So I want people to know I'm invested and I care about not only the kids, but I care about this community. And so,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you don't mind, I did create a very fun game of Adam Henkins This or That.
Okay.
It's going to be kind of lightning round, and I'm hoping to stump you.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You didn't prepare for this.
I did not.
All right. Did you lose sleep over it, though?
I did not.
All right. Okay, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Coaching from the sidelines or jumping into the game yourself?
Jumping into the game myself.
Friday night football games or Saturday morning track meets?
Friday night football.
All right. Mascot costume for a day or referee uniform for a week?
Mascot for a day, because referee, I never want to be a referee.
No.
Referee's never right.
That's
someone's
true.
always unhappy, right?
That is true.
A referee's a tough job.
All right,
tough
pretty good
job.
answer.
Yep.
Dodgeball champion or three-point shooting contest winner?
Oh, I'm already winning the 3-point.
Okay, there we go. Instant replay for every call or let them play with no reviews?
Let them play.
I knew
no
it.
reviews. Let them do their job.
Let them do it.
Yep.
All right. Bleachers packed with students or parents doing embarrassing cheers?
Students packed in the bleachers. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Free hot dog at a game or discounted nachos from the concession?
Free hot dog.
All right. How about cheering on the home team or silently judging the opposing coach's strategy?
So
Honest, Adam Henkins.
Since you said silent, I'm good with it. I very rarely am vocal about coaches, but I do judge them all.
I love it. All right, pickleball craze or cornhole tournaments taking over the schoolyard?
Cornhole
All right.
taking over that's a passion of mine too.
Michael Jordan in the 90s or LeBron James today?
Michael Jordan all day, every day. Doesn't even matter what year.
I think I know the answer, but March Madness brackets or fantasy football drafts?
Oh, I'm March Madness.
I
Absolutely.
figured. All right, streaming a game on your phone or listening to the old school radio broadcast?
Oh, that's a tough one. If I can stream it, I'm streaming because I like to be able to see
Okay.
it. But I do like to listen to Tony Caridi. There's nothing better. So here's the other, is my daughter's into sports broadcasting.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm sitting at the Waynesburg College men's game the other night, and my daughter's doing the broadcast, so I'm watching it with a bud in my ear.
Yes,
so,
you are.
So I do like,
Yes, you are.
that's a toss-up.
Okay.
But,
That's a good tie.
yes, that's
All right, that's a good
tie.
one.
Yeah.
Winning with a buzzer beater or blowing out the opponent by 30 points?
Buzzer beater. I hate blowouts on either side. Take the buzzer beater.
All right, this one might be difficult for you. Miley Cyrus or One Direction?
Oh, I like Miley Cyrus. I like them both, but I'll take Miley Cyrus.
Ah,
I love Miley
all right.
Cyrus.
Well, there was a poll going around, so I'll have to clear that up with everyone.
Miley Cyrus.
I know we talked about social media, but athletes doing TikTok dances or coaches giving inspirational speeches on Instagram?
Coaches giving inspirational
Okay,
speeches.
all right. Slow clap from the crowd or wild standing ovation?
Wild standing ovation.
All right, this is a good one. This is my favorite. We Will Rock You or Eye of the Tiger?
Eye of the Tiger.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks for letting me have a little bit of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Honestly,
Appreciate it.
Adam, Monongalia County Schools, really thanks you for what you do. I mean, just who you are as a person. We really appreciate what you do for kids, your work ethic, and making our schools safe and really thinking outside the box and putting that work behind the thought. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for being our second guest. Thank you for tuning in to Motivation and Momentum, where we're really just checking in on that heartbeat of Monongalia County Schools. And you get to see the passion of the people who work here and just how kids are always put first. So join in next time, and thanks for watching.